Now, I can picture in my head what I was doing last night. I'd been out in the garden, I'd been doing various different bits and bobs, came in, I sat in the corner of the living room, Naomi was on the settee, we watched telly, and while she was watching it, I was flicking through my phone. I was looking at all manner of different things, looking at Leicester City memorabilia on eBay. I was watching videos about a chef that cooked a curry for 50 people. I was watching one bloke who was making jewellery out of tractor wheels. All of these things are not going to make my life any better. They are not going to enhance it. And before you know it, an hour had gone by and I was just flicking through absolutely pointless rubbish on my phone. Now, the question this morning is would you be able to stay away from your smartphone, right, or mobile device for any length of time? Do you think you could do a digital detox? I don't think I could. But earlier on, we heard from Ruxana Hussain and Bushra Ali, who are on their very own detox.
For me, it's been the realization that it becomes a habit and it becomes a part of your life without you actually realizing it. How many times? So we actually went one step further, and to make sure we didn't even have that sudden urge to go and click on that, we removed the app from our phone. We had to go to that extent. So, and how many times I went, and not that I wanted to, it had become a habit, and I went to go and click on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, actually, it's not there. It reminded me that I'm not going to do it. I didn't miss it. It freed up so much time. It almost cleansed my mind that I'm more focused on what I need to get done. And it shows you how people are worried about, oh, how much likes has this had? Oh, she's wearing this. Oh, what's he doing? Oh, this hasn't been shared. And how much it consumes your mind in taking focus away from what you need to be doing. So it's been a positive thing.
I don't think I could do it. I love my smartphone, and it'll take a lot of convincing for me to put it down with all that information at my fingertips. But what are the benefits of not being tied to your phone or the internet for a period of time? Well, Martin Talks runs Digital Detoxing, and he travels around the whole wide world advising companies and people on using technology in better ways, and says digital doesn't need to be toxic. Come on, Martin, what are the downsides, first of all? What are the downsides of spending too much time being connected to the internet?
Well, hello first. Yeah, I think the problems include some of the things that have been mentioned, that people don't feel particularly happy, healthy, they're less creative, perhaps not as productive as they want. They even feel less good looking as a result of all their digital habits. So there's quite a lot of negative potentials from digital technology.
Now, I love being on my phone. I'm not going to lie to you. I love flicking through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, buying lots of useless rubbish on Amazon or on eBay or anything like that. So, what about having a healthy relationship with technology? How can we make sure these two go hand in hand?
Yeah, well, I think that's the important thing. I think what we're not advocating is people completely give up all technology, because that's not very realistic in particularly with people's jobs. So what we are saying is it is about getting a balance. So I think key to it is not necessarily being too ambitious, but being ambitious enough that you can make a difference in your life. So there are lots of tips and techniques that we encourage people to use to introduce maybe a bit of digital detoxing into their lives, as well as taking them away on adventures as well, which we do.
So what are these tips and hints? Come on, Martin, you have got the floor here. You can help us all put our smartphones down just a little bit more. What would be your advice be?
Well, a few tips I always give people is one of the big things is keeping your phones and such like technology out of the bedroom. And the reason I say that is because I think has been mentioned already on your show that sometimes it's the first thing people look at in the morning. The last thing they look at night is their mobile phones. Maybe they're looking at them in the middle of the night. I think someone mentioned that as well. And so keep them out of the bedroom. So buy yourself an alarm clock, just a conventional alarm clock. Don't use your phone as your alarm. Otherwise, you're tempted to look at it and then you've disappeared down the rabbit hole of social media before you know it, and you haven't got any sleep. So, yeah, buy yourself an alarm clock. That's definitely something to do, and that's something you could buy other people as well to improve their lives. So I certainly suggest that. As has also been mentioned, people have said delete apps off their phones. I think that's a good idea. Certainly moving them off the home screen is a very good idea, so they're not the first thing you look at when you see your phone. Get yourself a conventional, normal, smart, dumb watch, I think you'd call it, I suppose, these days, but a normal watch, not a smart watch as well. because a lot of people are using their phones as their watch. And of course, as soon as you look at that, you see an alert or a notification, and you're off again. So I think these are some of the things you can do. I mean, if you're out with your friends as well, a lot of people like to take pictures of their food and groups of people. Well, you could always try the game called Phone Stack. Do you know that game?
No, I think I need to know it.
Well, yourself and your friends, you put your phones in the middle of the table. If you're in a pub or a bar or a restaurant, put them in a table in a stack, and the first person who reaches for their phone has to buy the next round.
Oh,
I love that. That's brilliant.
That's a great shout. I mean, how detrimental can they be? Sitting there with your friends, going out with... last night I was saying, I was on my phone while the wife was watching telly. How detrimental can being on your phone all the time be to your relationships with people?
Well, I think that's a very important point. I think it is damaging our relationships. We probably have a closer relationship with our phone than we do with the people around us. We're worrying too much about things that aren't in the moment, in the present. We're worrying about things that are happening maybe away from us, people who we don't even know. We're worrying about whether they're going to like our post. We're not actually focusing on the moment we're in. And that's why there's been quite this rise of this movement around mindfulness, this idea that we need to be in the moment, in the present, experiencing that rather than worrying about things that are going on elsewhere. Unless we do that, we have this feeling of sort of listlessness, of not being particularly happy, and it means we don't form those closer relationships with the people around us, with the world around us, and even with ourselves as well.
Martin, thank you ever so much for joining my talks there from Digital Detoxing. There's two reasons why, Joe, that I know that I'm on my phone too much, okay? The first one is, well, both of them concern Ralph. The first one is as soon as I get my phone out and I'm near Ralph will either sit and pose, I kid you not,
That dog.
and sometimes you have to pretend to say cheese and pretend to take a photo of him, and then he carries on with his everyday life, right? Or the other time is that if I'm sat in the chair, right, watching the television or whatever, and I'm on my phone, he will come up and he will nuzzle the phone out of my hand.
I know, the dogs hate it.
Yeah.
They hate. Bella's the same. She doesn't like the attention not on her. When we talked about this a little earlier on, Peter got in touch, and actually he's already put into practice some of the stuff Martin was mentioning there. He says, my wife and I have a general rule of no phones in the bedroom. He says, I bought the cheapest alarm clock from that large online shopping website, and it lasted for years. That's the key, isn't it? I'd probably read more if I didn't have the phone in my room.
I like Marcus. Marcus in Loughborough's got in touch. Great from you. Remember, you can get in touch with us at any point. 81333, starting your message with the word Leicester. Marcus says, our home Wi-Fi was down a couple of weeks ago, and I was forced to spend the evening chatting to my wife and children. They seem like nice people. It's really tickled me. Keep your messages coming in.
13 minutes past 8.
Ride 'em, cowboys.